Hello, friends. Hey, we're so glad you have chose to be with us today. In the studios with us, we have Suzanne Cunningham. Hey, Suzanne.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
You're married to a fine young man.
Blue.
Yep, Blue.
Max.
Yep. Known Max since he was a teenager. He was a football player. Which high school did he go to in Irving? I forgot.
Nimitz.
Nimitz, okay.
Nimitz.
And he was going to be the all-star football player, I guess, until he got his shoulder messed up, and then maybe not, right?
No.
Yeah.
I don't think that was the plan.
I don't think so either. You know, the place that Max and I worked at, probably not the healthiest of environments. I mean, him being in high school, the whole time he was there, I was going, man, I never even met Max before. I thought, man, I don't know if this is really a good fit for him, and yet here he is all these years later. He got a skill there.
Mm-hmm. Thanks to you.
Yeah, well, I think it's like most things. I told him, here are the things not to do, you know. We had a joke there at the shop. We used to, anytime you would take and cut something too short, we'd always say, get the stretching machine out. And Max always wanted to know. It took him a long time to figure out there's no such thing. You can't stretch wood. I mean,
right.
Once it's cut, right? How long have you guys been married?
This Friday, 38 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Wow, we need to get you well by Friday. So,
Yeah.
So how did you and Max meet?
We met at church. We met at First Assembly in Irving.
Okay. E.R. Anderson?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Over on Beltline, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
Wow.
And I met you at the cabinet shop.
Really?
Yeah. That was the first time I met you, was at the cabinet shop.
Oh, see, your memory is so much better than mine. It's an interesting story how I got to that cabinet shop. I, like a lot of younger people, had kind of doing my own thing up until then.
Mm-hmm.
And Barbara and I we were definitely at a crossroads and I asked her a really simple question. I said, I'd really like to find out if this gospel works. I mean, we were in church. We were faithful, not really sold out to Christ. And so I said, I'd like to find out if this gospel really works. Would you like to go on that journey? And she said yes. So that began the journey of where we're at today. And one of the things that happened was I got laid off from my job, which just never happened. And for a young man, you talk about a blow to your ego. Up until then, I thought I was deciding, right? It's kind of like control. Control is an illusion.
Mm-hmm.
We think we're in control. Maybe not, So when I got laid off, I wasn't worried. I went, I can find another job. I didn't work for months. I did all kinds of handyman stuff. And I put my resume out there everywhere. Nothing was happening. I couldn't believe it, man. I could not find a job. And so I got so bad. I said, Lord, I just can't take another no. I said, you're going to have to send somebody to my door to give me a job. The next day, David Jackson knocks on my door. He says, do you want to go to work? And I went, yes. I didn't even ask what it was. Mm-hmm. He said, do you want to go to work? I said, yes. He said, my dad wants to hire you in a cabinet shop. I went, I don't know anything about cabinet. He says, we'll teach you. And so that was how I ended up working for WO. And while I was there, Max came. They used to play country and western music, and I'm sure there's some people who are be offended by this, but oh man, it was brutal, man. I just went, I don't know what I did to deserve this, but I said, this country and western, this is the old stuff too, not like today. It's the old twangy stuff. Everybody's dogs left them, and their wives left them for the third time or whatever, It's just I used to call it crying in your beer music.
Yeah.
It wasn't it definitely wasn't a wholesome atmosphere there. And it was hot. And we worked in a shop, no air conditioning, no heat either, no air conditioning, no heat. So I remember we put some cabinets together one night, and we just finished right before we left. So the glue hasn't had a chance to dry. Well, there's no heat. So when we came in the next morning, the glue actually froze. So the cabinets actually fell to the ground. Everything we had done the day before, it was start over time. So Max and I used to actually go in early during the summer. We would go in like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning before it got really, really hot, and worked on the cabinets. And when I left there, we continued to stay in contact with each other. At that time, he was going to the Tabernacle Church. Mm-hmm. And we officed there. As you remember, we officed there the first couple of years. They were very, very kind to us. But during that time, you and Max got married 38 years ago. Wow.
It was actually before that. It was 2 years before that we got married.
Yeah.
And because I remember when we started going to the Tabernacle, it was 1987.
Okay.
And y'all were officing in the Tabernacle.
Yeah, Gerald was. It became one of the funny things at the Tabernacle because he gave us access to everything.
Mm-hmm.
So we're growing very, very fast in those days, and so I would keep going. Can we use this? Can we use this? So it kind of became a joke around the church. They'd open a door and it's full. They said, "Who's it belong to?" I said, "It must belong to Dallas Metro."
Yep.
You know. So,
yep.
But the church was really, really good to us. You guys have a son.
Yes.
Named
Cody.
And Cody's dream was to do what in life?
Play baseball.
Yeah, play baseball. Now, what position did he play?
Quite a few positions, but mainly when he ended up in college playing, he was a pitcher.
Okay, that's what I remember, him pitching.
Starting pitcher.
Yeah.
But high school, he played catcher, right field, first base.
So how much time did you spend at a baseball diamond?
Way too much time. Way too much time. I told someone recently, every Mother's Day, we were at a baseball tournament. We spent Mother's Day afternoon at a baseball tournament.
Miss those days, do you?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Because now he lives in...
Salt Lake City.
Yeah.
Salt Lake City, Utah.
And what does he do?
I'm not even quite sure exactly what he does, but he runs a marketing software program for a company out of Norway that sells video conferencing equipment.
Really?
So,
wow. So does that cause him to travel, or is it everything online? Or?
Everything's online. It's an international company, and everything's online. He does get to do some traveling, which he loves. And so I watched our podcast from last week, the golf tournament. That's his passion outside of his work is since COVID and working at home by himself. I was thinking, if he could come in town for the golf tournament, he would probably love that.
We need to get him to come.
I need to try to get him to schedule that.
Our tournament is going to be at Castle Hills. If I was on top of my game, I could give you the date on that. It's different this year.
Wasn't it in August? I think it was.
It's like the last, I want to say Monday in August. So for those who are watching, it'll be an early tee time for sure. Castle Hills is beautiful. We had our sponsors preview last week or a week before last. I'm not real sure, and it went really well, really well. And I'll get that information to you. We'd love to have you come. Yeah. It's going to be a lot of fun. It will sell out. I think we're already at close to 100 golfers, and I think there's only 120 that can come. So, but we'll get him in for sure.
If he can get in town.
Yeah, for sure. Now he's married?
He's married. Been married 7 years, I believe.
No way.
Yes.
Really? Wow.
I know. It's crazy. 7 years. They've been in Salt Lake City nearly the entire time. Okay. They met in college and moved to Salt Lake.
So is it hot there all the time, or?
Surprisingly, it's really hot in the summertime and really cold in the wintertime.
Okay.
He texted us Sunday. It was Saturday. It was 75. He played golf on Saturday, 75 degrees, and he sent me a picture Sunday, snow on the ground, dog covered in snow. So I texted him back. I said, "Were you expecting this?" And he said, "No, it was 75 yesterday."
Yeah.
Max told him it's kind of hard to find a white golf ball in the snow, isn't it?
Yeah, no kidding. So you guys do something together still with Max every year in Colorado, right?
Yes. We meet 2 or 3 times a year and get to spend time with him.
And what do you guys do?
Fly fish.
Fly fish.
Mm-hmm.
How did you get into fly fishing?
A fireman, Max's captain in the Irving Fire Department, his son was going to paramedic school, and Cody played baseball all through college and lived with host families. Well, his captain's son was going to go to fire training school on the west side of Fort Worth, and they lived in Forney, and we gave him a place to stay during the week, and he went home on the weekends. And as a gift, a thank you gesture, they gave Max and I fly rods and reels and some flies and started teaching us how to fly fish, and we have been hooked for the last 10 years.
Wow. So the whole time you guys have been going to Colorado, it's always been fly fishing?
The very first time, we just rod and reel fish, ATV'd, just sightseeing, just enjoyed being in the mountains, seeing God's country, enjoying the fresh air, being away from the hustle and bustle. But then we started fly fishing probably the second year that we.
So how long did it take you to learn to cast a fly rod?
You're still learning. I mean, it's just you just keep trying to work on perfecting it. It's just a constant, but probably the second year. It wasn't too bad. But we had good teachers too, so we had good people that worked with us and were patient with us, so it helped.
So do you guys buy flies? Do you make flies? I mean, how does that work?
We buy flies,
okay.
But Max's retirement gift, Cody and I gave him a fly tying kit and supplies, and he's been so busy building cabinets since he retired in January that he hasn't had time to sit down and start learning. He's been watching YouTube videos, but he has not sat down long enough to start making flies.
I'm so surprised to hear that, right?
Yeah. That's not like Max to go 100 miles an hour.
Yeah, it's pretty cool that he when we worked at the cabinet shop, there weren't a lot of good days there, you know. So, and then now, here he is retired, and he's fallen back on that craft. That isn't amazing. The things the Lord does with us, we have no idea that will change our lives.
Right.
Something that we can use kind of forever.
Yes.
You know? Yeah. When I first went on staff at the Lighthouse, it's because I was able to build cabinets. They were doing remodeling in the church.
I remember that.
And so that's because I had that skill that opened the door. Little did anybody know, what the Lord had for us. The last few months, you and Max have been traveling with us. We most people don't know that on weekends we travel to churches and share with them about what God's doing in the inner city and ask them to partner with us. Something happened to you guys some time back, and I think it was through a book that you guys read of Robert Morris. Is that correct?
Yes.
Tell us about that.
The Blessed Life.
The Blessed Life, right.
Giving God the first. Giving Him the first in everything. And not giving to get, but getting to give. And as a result, just like it says, the blessed life. God just keeps pouring out His blessings. And when we started giving Him the first, it just, every time we turned around, God was just pouring out blessings.
Yeah. It's difficult the last, and I want to say few years, but it's actually much longer than the last few years, to talk about funds in the church because of the extremes that have been taught.
Mm-hmm.
You said give to get. If that's the way it works, everybody's going to be giving.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And yet, the statement is actually accurate. We do give, and as a result, we do receive, but that doesn't necessarily mean money.
Exactly.
It can mean all kinds of things. Health, doors opening that no one could ever open. And it's difficult to talk about money because of abuse. The Lord told me she would give $144 today. You're gonna prosper.
Mm-hmm.
God's gonna bless you. God's gonna meet your needs or whatever. And there are some out there that they're already on Facebook right now, having a field day with this. Well, God bless them. Go right ahead.
Right. And in giving, it's not. Max shared on this a couple of weeks ago that even in God's blessings, life happens. And the very week that he was scheduled to share at a church, our story with the blessed life and how it affected us, he broke out in shingles. We had a broken water pipe in our yard. I hit a deer, damaged the front of my car, had to put it in the shop. Things happen. It's not that everything's just going to be springing up roses. I mean,
Right.
Life still happens, but God carries you through it.
Right.
And that right there is a blessing that
Right.
you know God's going to carry you
Yeah,
through.
we live in a sinful world.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Therefore, you get to deal with those type things. We all do,
Right.
regardless. And yet, when you put God first,
That's right.
He helps you through that stuff.
Yep.
He'll provide. Whenever you adopt this philosophy of generosity, of giving God first, it also changes how you look at life every day.
Absolutely.
You're not all of a sudden you're no longer looking at what can I get, what is in this for me. It's all of a sudden you start looking for opportunities to be a blessing.
That's right.
Brother Hibbard, one of his famous sayings is that he wanted to be a conduit. And I had to think on that one just a little bit, In other words, he wanted to be a channel to be used by God. It was like Pastor Tommy used to say, the Lord had allowed millions of dollars to go through his hands. And then he would go, and none of it stuck. That's the difference between the blessed life and a prosperity.
Right. And Max, I keep bringing him up because
He should be here today, right?
He should be here.
Yeah,
He should
yeah.
be here. But he felt like it's a couple of years ago, he was thinking about God's blessings, giving him the first, and he saw a water feature at church, and he said, God wants us to be a river, not a reservoir. If the water keeps coming in, God's blessings keep coming in, the water's going to end up stagnant. Why would God keep giving you more and more for you to just hold on to it? Whereas if you let it go and it goes on to other people, then he's going to resupply because he knows you're faithful to let it go through you and not stop with you.
Yeah. I mentioned a few weeks ago, the last few months you've been traveling with James and I to local churches, which is one of the ways that we raise funds for Dallas Metro, particularly right now, raising funds for the new facilities. You're assisting at the booth. Why did you guys decide to do that?
Because we love you. We love you. We love Dallas Metro. Just one of the things when friends have asked, what's this about, y'all traveling to different churches, and I've tried to explain, you see missionaries come in from Africa, from India, they come in, they itinerate to raise money. Clay is a missionary. He's a missionary. And he's itinerating. He's reaching kids. He loves kids. And he's bringing Christ to those kids. And we want to help with that.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. There's a whole segment of our society that we would like to pretend is not there.
Right.
Or if we ignore them, they will go away. Or if we ignore them, we're not responsible to respond to the need.
There's people in far-off countries, but we've got people right here in Dallas that need help.
Yeah, and that's not.
They need the love of Christ.
Um,
And I've got friends who are missionaries to Africa and India, and we support other missionaries, but we've got needs right
we have
here.
a mission field here. We do. My greatest concern, and obviously, we have been overseas, and I believe in foreign missions. Well, the truth of the matter is, I believe in missions, period. I learned that when I was at the Lighthouse. I learned the value of building relationships with missionaries, finding out that there are real people with real needs, real problems, real challenges. And when you get to know them, then all of a sudden you start understanding the calling that God has placed in their lives. And in our city, we like to say we're revitalizing the city of Dallas. My question would be, are we? Or are we moving people from point A to point B? If you look in the neighborhoods, we've been building high-rises here for probably the last 10 years, maybe a little longer. So what's the first property that they purchase? Low income.
Yeah.
Where do those low-income people go? Well, there aren't a lot of options in our city. And so as a result of that, we now have problems in the suburbs that 20 years ago, unheard of. Now, and we're heard of here in Dallas, but unheard of in the suburbs.
Right.
So all we did was we moved the problem from point A to point B. We never addressed the problem. The second part of that is that we want to move them wherever to get them out of the situation that they're in. And I probably understand that better than most. And yet somebody's going to live there in those low-income housing, whether it's a house, an apartment, a condo, public housing. Somebody's going to have to live there. Why do we have to move them to wherever before they can accept Christ? Why can't they be taught that they can live for God wherever they're living, regardless of their income, regardless of the breakup that's taking place in their families? And so that's a life that Barbara and I have committed to, and it's still the journey that we're on today. Even though Barbara's gone on to be with the Lord, the dream hasn't changed. What has changed is that the Lord has raised up a generation of new leaders. You know all these guys by name. You've seen them.
It's amazing.
It's humbling.
Mm-hmm.
It's very humbling to know that some of the kids that were sitting on the tarps are now leading today at Dallas Metro. But it happened. Barbara and I never, ever were in this alone. And that's the one thing that I would encourage people in general. You're talking about having friends. Every missionary needs a friend. I want to say needs a friend, but they need more than a friend.
Mm-hmm.
They need a group of people standing with them and help them reach whoever that people group is the Lord has laid upon their hearts, and then to support them financially, just like you and Max have done both around the world and are doing here. But the Lord talks about generosity a lot in the Bible. And each week we try to give a verse, a nugget that people can latch onto. And I knew we were going to be here today, and so the verse that I thought about being generous is Deuteronomy chapter 15, verse 10. It says, "Give generously to the poor, not grudgingly, for the Lord your God will bless you in everything you do." Because of your generosity, God continues to pour into you and Max and to others. So there's people out there today. They're looking for a balance. We got two extremes over here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Don't give, or kind of give when you want to, or give when God speaks to you. And then you have this group over here, prosperity. Give and God's going to give you X amount of dollars today.
Right.
Talk to our people, those that are watching today. There's somebody out there, they're struggling with this. Talk to them today. What's the balance there?
Well, the first belongs to God. That you give back to God. It doesn't belong to you. Then beyond, then you give into good ground. You sow into good ground. And that's Max and I. Max cannot say your name without saying, he's the real deal. He's the real deal. He's been saying that for 38 years. He's the real deal. So you find the real deals that you can commit to and give to, because you know that anything that you sow into it is going to be good ground. You see the fruit out of Dallas Metro. You see Timothy. You see James. You see just everybody that is involved in Metro. Metro Camp. You see what's happening with the kids at Metro Camp that wouldn't be able to go to camp anywhere, anytime else. That is just beyond their dreams, but you make it happen. You and your staff make it happen. Yeah. So you find those good ground. Yeah. So
the only way we're able to make it happen is people like you partnering with us. Ministry takes money, and so but when people partner with us, Barb and I have never been in this alone. And even the new facilities that the Lord have laid on our hearts. You guys have been with us on this journey of getting a new building like forever. And my dream was to buy another old warehouse. That was what I was looking for, or an old building somewhere. Something that we could buy relatively inexperienced. And our boy Chris is over here maintaining the board. He's maintaining our recording today. And Chris knows this. I was looking for another old warehouse, old building, something we could buy really, really cheap and start using like immediately, and then we fix it up as we go, And that wasn't what God had for us, I never dreamed that the Lighthouse would provide land for us to build a new building. That was never on my horizon. I didn't see that coming. And then yet it was very, very obvious through circumstances that happened that, Pastor Lewis calling and saying, I think this is what the Lord's asking us to do, provide land for you to build a new building. I went, are you sure? He said, yes. So it took me a while to get there. It really did, because I knew the expense,
right.
I knew the dollars we were talking about, and then just the process. It's one thing to buy something and you're rehabbing it. It's a whole different when you're starting from ground zero, and all that's required, and the process. It's quite lengthy, and very, very expensive. And now that we are post-COVID, the cost is probably double what it would have been pre-COVID, and so it's kind of hard to explain to people, why didn't you do this in 2019? Well, I don't think any of us knew the changes that COVID was going to have on us. We really weren't in a position at that time to go forward. But now looking back on it, there's no question. This is what the Lord has for us. It's a new facility. Have you seen the pictures?
Beautiful.
Seen the video?
Perfect.
It's
reach every aspect of every life that you can touch.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Mike Cathcart, who's our architect, has done a phenomenal job drawing this. It's going to be so beautiful. It's going to take a lot of people partnering with us, kind of doing their part. So why don't you tell people that, hey, we want to partner with you and donate towards this new facility? What would you tell them?
you're sowing into good ground. You're going to touch lives. The facility is going to meet physical needs, but most importantly, spiritual needs. Everything the way it's structured is you walk in the door. I love the fact that you walk in the door and it's an open area with a kitchen off of it to feed the people who come in who are hungry, because you know they're going to come in hungry, and you're already prepared for that. So you take away that distraction of hunger to be able to minister to them. And it's just encompasses the full picture. It's just absolutely amazing what it could do.
It's hard for most of us to wrap our brain around when a physical need is met, how it opens the heart for the spiritual need to be met. Suzanne, thanks for you and Maxine. Max, are you watching this today, brother? Oops. Maxine, I've caught him everything before. Blue, I guess you should have been here today, right? Appreciate you and Max.
We love you.
Standing
love
with us.
You and your family. And
out there on the tour with us and meeting all the people after church. And thank you. Thank you for joining with us. Folks, hey, you can join with us today. Now, you've heard from someone that's just like you. You know, Suzanne, she just loves the Lord, you know. Trust the Lord and wants to make her life count, make a difference. I think all of us want that, right? All of us want our lives to make a difference. You can help us invest in this future generation. She mentioned some of their names, you know, James, Timothy, Chrissy, Karina. You know, the list goes on. Ebony. Incredible what the Lord has done and is doing. And here, that's the beauty. Mm-hmm. We're not talking about this is what we are going to do. Folks, we're doing it, and we have been doing it. But you're going to help us take it to the next level. And you're going to help us do it absolutely debt-free. Folks, we can't pass this baton on and go, oh, here's your $30,000 a month payment to make. How would you like to be blessed with that? We can't do that. We got to join together and believe for a miracle. So would you go to our webpage, dallasmetro.org, click on All In. That's what the campaign's called. And then click at the bottom where it says, What is All In? And you'll see the pictures that Michael Cathcart has drawn, beautiful pictures that Michael, this building he's got designed for us. You know, the Lord definitely sent Michael our way. And then I'm asking you would you prayerfully consider today making a commitment for the next 12 months, each month, that you'll help us believe for a miracle and help us to pay cash for this building. I'm believing you're going to do that today. Thanks for joining with us. I'll see you next week. God bless you.